We want to catch you up on that case out in Iowa, the dad in the ditch murder trial. We're not allowed to air this trial live, but we're able to air it the next day. So some good stuff happened yesterday, and over the next bit here, as we wait for the Reed motions hearing to begin, we're going to catch you up, and it's a fascinating case. You have two brothers accused of killing their father. Alec Jones is on trial first. His father's name is Dennis. His body was found in a ditch with 3 gunshot wounds. Alec's brother was charged as well, but he's being tried separately, and his trial will go next, Nathan Jones. Before we get into the testimony, let's first get you caught up in case you haven't been following this one. For that, we will turn to crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson.
55-year-old Dennis Jones was shot and killed in April of this year. His 26-year-old son, Alec Jones, allegedly pulled the trigger, and his youngest son, Nathan, allegedly helped cover up the murder. A mail carrier found Dennis Jones' body in a ditch by the side of a country road on April 26th. Investigators believe Jones was not shot in that ditch. They obtained a search warrant for his home, where he lived with his 2 sons and his wife. Shannon Jones spoke with news station KCCI.
I got nobody now. I live in this big house all alone.
She told KCCI she was home sleeping when her husband was shot.
I can't really tell you anything. I don't know nothing by what, I don't know. They're good boys. This wasn't premeditated. Denny and I had an altercation earlier that Thursday evening, and I went to bed.
After police searched the family home, they arrested the brothers. According to court documents, the defendants made admissions about the crime to other witnesses. Alec and Nathan Jones pleaded not guilty. Alec is charged with first-degree murder. And according to court documents, he says he was intoxicated and shot his father in self-defense. Nathan Jones is charged with aiding and abetting murder in the first degree. Their trials are being held separately.
All right, so let's do this. Let's pick up the testimony of this. This is Alec Jones and a police interrogation. This was played again Wednesday in court. It's audio only. Prosecutors say that the 26-year-old has changed his story several times, and this is evidence of that, about what happened to his father. Because during this police investigation, he talked about family dynamics and claimed that the night his father was murdered, he came home to a mess. Here's investigator Larry Headland talking to Alec Jones about the circumstances surrounding the shooting.
After Mom got hit, was it pretty hard? Was it a pretty hard hit? She was pretty upset?
Yeah.
Did she cry? Was she crying or what?
Yeah, she went up and cried for a couple minutes, and then that was really it.
Were you trying to comfort her a little bit, or what was, that surely is, I don't completely understand, it's a little bit of a different situation, but I'm sure that it really hurts her, or I would imagine this relationship that Dad has with this girl. But what's Mom saying, after he hits her?
All she was really saying was she don't know why she has to put up with this. They've already left once, moved out and just came back. Yeah, that was really it.
Okay. Did Dad say anything after he hit her?
No, we just try to stay away.
You just try to stay away? Okay.
Yeah, we don't really get along.
Okay, gotcha. Now, when you got home, did you see anybody up or see anyone else?
No, I didn't see anybody, but it just looked like a wreck in there.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, came in and the rug that's in the kitchen, the big surface area one, that one was just gone. There was holes in the wall. There was water and stuff everywhere. That's about it.
Okay.
And I just stay away from that. I just went upstairs.
Sure, yeah.
Because they're always just doing their own thing, I guess.
Okay. Now, is it normal for your house to look like that, or was this not normal?
Not that bad, but it's normally pretty bad. Not that bad.
Okay.
It's pretty tore up.
Pretty tore up, okay. So you said the rug was gone. Where's this rug at in your house?
It was in the kitchen.
Okay, so it's a kitchen rug.
Yeah.
What's the rug look like?
White, and it's got like swirly stuff on it, I think.
Like swirly stuff? Okay.
So I've been talking to a couple different people that are at the search warrant, and they sent me a photo of a rug in the back of, I would assume, is your dad's truck. Is this that rug?
Yeah, that's the rug.
Okay, what does that look like to you on there?
Looks like blood, kind of, or paint or something.
Okay. Do you have any idea who would have put that rug back there?
I don't. I was not home.
Okay.
The only ones that were my mom, but she was sleeping, and then Kaylin and my dad.
Okay, gotcha. And what time did you say you got home last night and noticed that rug was gone? It would have been after bar closed.
Yeah.
About 2:30ish. So, to me, it looks like that's blood on the rug. I've seen lots of photos of objects with blood on them. I've been doing this for a long time. Whose blood do you think that would be?
I got no idea.
Okay. Was it there that you noticed before you went to the bar?
No, the rug was still there when I went to the bar. Then I came home, and it was just a wreck.
Okay, gotcha.
When you were in and out of the house today, did you notice the rug in the back of the truck?
No.
No? Okay. What door do you normally use to go in and out of the house?
The front.
The front door? Okay.
Because they hang out in the back, kind of, so I keep away.
Okay.
So I go to the front.
Okay. And when you keep saying they, that's
Yeah, I mean, my dad and Kaylin.
That's good. Okay. All right. What's your relationship like with your dad, Al? Do you love your dad?
Yeah,
you
I
guys
love my
pretty
dad.
close?
We used to be close, but once he got on the drugs, it just kind of separated.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about your dad at all? Do you know where your dad is right now?
No, I haven't seen him or heard from him since last night.
Okay.
We tried calling his phone and stuff, and just nothing.
Okay. Who tried calling his phone?
My sister, my mom. I tried once.
Okay. Is there any reason that your dad tell anybody that he was concerned that someone might be trying to hurt him?
I mean, I could see him saying it, but nothing would ever happen. I would never hurt my dad.
You would never hurt your dad? Okay. Is there any reason that you can think of that he would say that he was concerned that you and your brother?
Because he smacked our mom, and we stand up pretty strongly for our mom.
That's a scary way to live, and I feel for you on that. But when you said you stand up to it pretty strong, what's that look like?
I mean, I just defend her. I get in the way, just stuff like that.
Okay. Did you do that last night?
Well, there was really nothing to get in the way of there. He smacked her, she backed up, and he looked at me and he's like, "What are you going to do about me smacking your mom?" And then my mom was just like, "No, Alec, come on." And we went upstairs.
So here's the deal. Someone called in today, and they found your dad deceased. So your dad has died.
Really?
Yes. And that's what we're trying to figure out. I'm sorry for your loss. Who do you know that would want to hurt your dad?
No one that I would think of.
Okay.
The only ones that would do anything is just my dad and Kaylin. They'd be fighting all the time.
They're fighting all the time. Sure.
That's the only thing I could think of. She's always screaming, "I hate you, Danny." Blah, blah, blah. Just...
All right, let's get a break. Coming up, more interrogation where now Alec Jones admits he shot his father. Stay with us.
Reporter brutally murdered for digging too deep. His death was absolutely devastating.
The suspect, the former politician and subject of the victim's story on corruption.
Can you tell us anything?
Now will Robert tell us go from elected official to convicted killer?
Once all the evidence comes out, it'll be clear as day.
Is it possible that bad press is a motive for murder?
The investigative reporter murder trial. Live coverage begins next week on Court TV.
Back to Iowa, we just heard Alec Jones say, I would never hurt my dad. Now he admits to shooting him. Take a listen.
Did you actually see him hit your mom? Okay, how many times did you hit her?
3 or 4.
Okay. And where in the house was that at?
The kitchen.
Okay. And like hit her hard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty hard.
All right. She crying? That's heartbreaking. Like I said, I grew up seeing that happen. How long after you saw him assault your mom before this thing happened? Approximately. I know you don't know exactly.
Maybe an hour.
Okay.
We were just gonna leave, me and my brother and Nathan, and he comes running out of the garage. He's like, so what are you guys gonna do about me hitting your mom?
Your dad said that? Okay.
Yeah, he was like provoking us basically.
Okay.
And Nathan just walked away, and then he came back, and my dad went to swing at me too. So that's just kind of how it went from there.
Okay. Tell me about the gun going off. Tell me how you guys decided that was going to happen. Because he's told me his side of it, you know.
Well, it got decided like right there in like the spur of the moment thing.
Okay. It wasn't planned out an hour ahead of time.
No.
Okay. Tell me what the discussion was
With
about what was going to happen to your dad. Something had to be said.
no, I didn't say nothing. I didn't want to like provoke it anymore.
Okay.
And he went to hit me.
He went to hit you? Okay. And what did you do?
Well, he did hit me, but
Okay.
and I just kind of pulled it out and
Pulled the gun out? Where was it at?
in my pocket.
Okay. And whose gun was it?
My brother's.
Okay. He told us what kind of gun it was, but what kind of gun was it?
Nothing less than
What caliber though?
a 9.
Okay. And he told us how many shots were fired, how many times, how many shots were fired.
3 to 5.
Okay. And where did your dad get shot at? As far as on his person, on his body.
I'm not sure. I didn't.
Where do you think? I mean, you know the difference?
Probably the chest.
All right, still with us, Jack Rice, Josh Schiffer. Is what's the defense here? And again, a reminder, if you're in trouble, get a lawyer.
Yeah, you definitely can't add anything to that conversation that's going to help anything. And now you've got these inconsistent statements. And that's the basic, page 1 of how do you impeach someone. You show them. You show the jury, hey, right now they're saying this, but let's go back in time. Let's show how they're inconsistent. And it's a very strong tool when you're trying to bury a defendant.
Yeah, Ted, think at the same time, what we saw here was this officer, think of that interrogation when he says, this was heartbreaking, I saw this in my own life. You realize the empathy that he's trying to connect with this person to drive him. And then immediately what the officer says is, how soon after essentially your dad attacked your mother did this event happen? He was linking the two together, he was driving this defendant, and he was doing it very purposely, and I don't even think he saw it coming.
Yeah, it was an excellent job.
Let's get you back to testimony in the dad in the ditch murder trial for Alec Jones. The next witness is Detective Jolynn Johnson.
Were you working on April 26, 2024 this year?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me, were you involved with the investigation regarding a body that was found out in the county?
Yes.
Do you remember who that individual was?
I was informed that it may possibly be a Dennis Jones.
And as part, you're a detective with the Fort Dodge Police Department, so do you answer to the lieutenant in the Criminal Investigations Division?
Yes.
So that would be Lieutenant Stanley?
Correct.
Okay. And did he task you with anything that day?
Yes. Because of our belief of who that subject may be, he asked me to go drive by that residence and see who might be at that residence.
Okay. What did you do?
I did drive by. When I drove by, I had noticed coming up that there was several vehicles in front of the residence. I took a little recording to try to capture those vehicles, and then I positioned myself to be able to watch that residence for a duration of time to see who might be coming and going from that residence.
Do you remember what time of day this was?
Approximately 2 p.m.
And so you had to basically sit on the house?
Yes.
Until a warrant was written and that could be executed, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know how long that took?
Approximately 3.5 hours.
Okay. So you're sitting there a while?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me kind of what all did you observe while you were sitting there doing surveillance on the home?
I observed that there was some additional vehicles not just parked in front of the residence, but also at the backyard or the back door of the residence. And it wasn't long after that I observed a taller, slender male and a older female with brown hair come outside of that residence, and they entered a black SUV that was parked at the back door. And shortly after that, they ended up leaving. They did come back a while later. When they returned, there was another individual with them, another male. And these individuals were later identified as Alec Jones and Shannon Jones that had left the residence originally, and then they returned with a male identified as Nathan Jones.
Is that the house that you were watching? 31.
I see a truck in this picture. Oh, it's 32, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, I follow here. Yes, that is the house I was watching.
Okay. And then you also looked at 32. Is that one of the vehicles that were in the driveway?
That is correct.
Okay. And it sounds like you observed Shannon, Nathan, and Alec in the afternoon. Was there anything else that you saw while you were conducting surveillance at the home?
Yes. After they had returned, there was another individual that showed up at the residence, and that person was later identified as Megan Jones or Megan Thacker. And she went into the residence, and it was a short while later that she came out, and the older female also came out of that residence. And as Megan was trying to leave the residence, heading southbound beside that residence, Shannon happened to kind of approach her, like she was trying to stop her from leaving maybe. It looked like maybe they were kind of having maybe kind of an argument.
Okay. You couldn't hear them though?
No.
Okay. And Megan rode a bicycle to the home?
That's correct.
And she was attempting to leave?
Yes.
Did she leave?
Yes, she did.
What happened after that?
It wasn't long after that, and she did return to the residence.
Okay. And again, could you tell me what you observed when she returned?
Yep, when she returned, by the time she returned, she remained outside, as well as Shannon, and then the other two males that I had observed come back in the black SUV, Nathan and Alec. And they were outside the back door of their residence, positioned between both of the vehicles that were parked in that back driveway. They appeared to be motioning towards the vehicle that was to the north of them. The vehicle itself was out of my visibility, but that would have been the truck that was in Exhibit 32. Inside the trash can, in the trash bag, there was found a black latex glove or nitrile glove. And in the recycling receptacle, there was some more trash inside there that additionally contained another black latex glove, as well as a black and white mask, and also a black nylon gun holster.
While you were conducting the search, were you or did anyone else find cellular devices?
Yes, I located one when I was doing overall photos, and then there were 2 more of them located that an officer must have located. I didn't see it during my overall photos, but on my exit photos, I saw 2 more cell phones that were in bedroom number 3.
Okay. And those were taken into evidence?
Yes.
Okay. Detective Johnson, you went back to look for some additional evidence?
That is correct.
Okay. Had you learned that there was possibly some gloves located either near the property or on another property?
Yes. The opening of the glove was tied shut with a small knot, and when I held it up, I shook it gently because it felt like there was substance in it, and it rattled consistent with there being shell casings in the glove.
What sort of training do you have in being a crime scene tech?
Experience with working with the crime scene tech on a regular basis. She often asks for our assistance if she wants us to assist her with photographing evidence or even collecting it. Some of the responsibilities of the evidence tech were also assigned to be able to collect our own evidence, just because the evidence tech is not always available to assist with investigations.
So what courses have you been to train you to preserve crime scene photos?
There is no courses that I have attended.
Okay. There are courses available, though, is that right?
I reckon there would be.
Okay. And what courses have you been to help you learn to preserve evidence?
I have not attended any courses to preserve evidence.
Okay. Now, there is an actual evidence tech with the Fort Dodge PD, is that right?
Yes.
And that's Brandy Webb, is that right?
That is correct.
And you just said she was off that day, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's also a crime scene team available through the DCI, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and the DCI is the Department of Criminal Investigations, is that right?
That is correct.
It is a state agency that is there to provide assistance to, honestly, a lot of small towns when they need help, right?
Yes.
And their crime scene techs have lots of training, is that fair?
I would reckon.
Have you heard about all their training previously?
No.
Oh, okay. You're not too into the crime scene thing?
Well, I mean, I'm a police officer. I investigate crime scenes.
Okay. You just don't pay too much attention to what the DCI does?
I do not work for the DCI, no.
Okay. Were you aware that you could call and ask for assistance?
Yes.
Okay, and that was not done in this case, is that right?
We did have an outside agency assisting us with this.
Okay. Did they come in and help you preserve the crime scene?
They were present with us while we were executing the search warrant. The residents that I assisted with the search warrant for.
Okay, so you had a crime scene team there to help you with the residents?
Yes, we were a team of people to process that crime scene.
Other than you, was anyone actually trained in crime scene gathering?
Just the normal experience that law enforcement officers have in their everyday experience processing the crime scenes that we have on an everyday basis.
You were the first person, though, to do a sweep just for an overall viewing, right?
That's correct.
Did you take a camera around and preserve with a videotape of the entirety of the home?
I had a camera with me. I was taking still photos.
Okay, so we don't have the standard videotape of the home? Just one more time, the Exhibit 7 is to represent the room, is that right?
Correct.
And the placard A is to represent an area, is that correct?
An item.
Okay. And in that drawer, what do you see off to the right in that drawer?
A spent shell casing.
Okay. In this photo, next to C, is that a bullet?
Yes.
Okay. And the C placard, does that indicate that's found in the same location?
Yes.
Okay. To your memory, were there any bullets or any other firearm paraphernalia found in the room you identified as Alec Jones's room?
There was what was believed to be a firearm, but it was not a real gun.
Showing you Defense Exhibit BB for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Do you recognize that as a photo that you took?
Yes.
Do you recognize that as a photo you took while you were doing that search warrant?
Yes.
Does it fairly and accurately represent what you saw?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to admit Defense Exhibit BB?
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
It is in without objection.
Permission to publish?
You may.
Would you agree that Defense Exhibit BB is kind of a close-up of some of that garbage that you were looking at?
Yes.
Noticeably, there's a couple very large bottles of Bacardi. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you find other bottles of alcohol throughout the residence?
I do not recall seeing any.
Okay.
All right, we do want to bring in our guest for this hour to discuss this case. Joining us now from Martinez, California, criminal defense attorney Ashley Bargainquest. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon as we kind of review the Jones case that's happening out of Iowa, listening to the detective on the stand, talking about garbage that she sifted through. She also conducted surveillance on the home. What are you making of her testimony?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Taking a look at it, I think that you are getting a lot kind of from both sides on this, right? Obviously, she sat out front, shows what's happening by talking about what she actually saw, which eyewitness testimony is always something that a jury responds to very well, because they say, if I saw something, I would remember, and therefore an eyewitness is always an individual that they like to hear from. And officers, of course, talk about the training they have to remember and to say what they remember. But I think that the defense is also doing a really good job pointing out exactly what training this officer did not have and how she was doing essentially what should be somebody else's job, and that she wasn't doing the basic things that you would expect a crime scene tech to do. So it's interesting to see both what is being presented very well from the prosecution side and a very excellent attack on what should have been done by somebody else as well.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get a break, and we're going to have more from the Jones case out of the state of Iowa. Plus, we're looking forward to the hearing in the Karen Reed case. Is a live look outside the courthouse in Dedham. They're already out there with the signs and the flags. That crowd is just going to build over the next 2 hours. Our Matt Johnson's there, too. We'll be checking in with him in just a bit. Stay with us.
Join Court TV's Vinny Politan.
In every story, in every trial, every case, there's at least two sides to it.
To dive into the latest.
Oh my God.
And breaking true crime stories.
This was a very targeted, very personal attack.
Inside.
I've never seen that in a discovery. I've been incarcerated 3 years.
And outside of the courtroom.
She's a psychopath.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinny Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central. Only on Court TV.
Welcome back, everyone. We are bringing you testimony from the Alec Jones murder trial that's happening in Iowa.
Yes, the next witness is about to take the stand, a guy by the name of Buck Boring, and he is the owner of Buck's Guns.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Taylor, your witness.
Can you state your full name for the record?
Buck Boring.
And Mr. Boring, do you live here in Fort Dodge?
Yes.
Are you the owner of a business here?
Yes.
What is that?
Buck's Guns.
Okay. And assuming from the name, what is at Buck's Guns?
We sell firearms and service firearms.
And are you somewhat experienced with weapons, being the owner and operator of that store?
Yes.
Okay. How long has it been open here in Fort Dodge?
Since 2007.
And are you the main individual? You're the manager, the one that works there most of the time?
Yes.
So is it closed now because you're not there?
Yes.
Do you recall selling and actually I'm going to have you take a look at there's a book right in front of you, and there's going to be some pictures in there. Can you take a look at, I believe, what's been marked as State's Exhibit 60?
60.
60, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay.
And what is that for?
It's for Smith & Wesson 9mm.
Do you see the date on the receipt?
1/4/24.
Is that a receipt from your business establishment?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you recall selling that weapon?
No.
Okay. You sell quite a few that it's hard to recall every single receipt?
Yes.
Okay. But does that receipt look familiar to you in that it's from where you work and the business that you own?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, State would request to admit State's Exhibit 60.
Any objection?
No objection.
60 is in without objection.
Mr. Boring, you can see the type of gun that was sold via the receipt. Can you describe that gun for me?
It's a semi-automatic 9mm polymer frame steel slide.
Okay. I don't know what you just said. So let's slow back down. So a 9mm, what does that mean?
That'd be the caliber.
Okay. And by caliber, what do you mean?
The size of the bullet.
Okay. And so how big is this gun? Is it a one you hold in your hand?
Yes, it's a handgun.
Okay. And what color was it?
Black.
Is this something that you can attach things to it, such as a scope, a laser, flashlight?
No scope, but it has a rail underneath the barrel for a flashlight.
Okay. That's not on this receipt, though, correct?
No.
In your training and experience, is that something that somebody could go online and buy themselves?
You go anywhere and get one, they just clamp on.
Say that again?
You can get one at pretty much any sporting goods store online, they just clamp on.
Okay. Can you tell me who bought the gun, Mr. Boring?
Nathan Jones.
Okay. And is that because people do they have to go through background checks and everything in order to buy a gun?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Boring, I want you to take a look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 66.
Okay.
In that picture, can you see a firearm?
I see two.
6.6.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Is that consistent with the one that you would have sold on January 4th, 2024?
Similar. Yes.
What do you mean similar? Can you elaborate for me?
There's a lot of detail you cannot see because of the picture, but it's in the same configuration, polymer framed, steel slide.
Can you tell the caliber?
No, that picture, no.
Not a good enough picture?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor, thank you. And for the record, he may be excused from the defense's subpoena as well.
All right. Thank you, sir. Go back to your story.
All right, thank you.
All right, Buck Boring on the stand, owner of Buck's Guns there in Iowa. Ashley Barkenquist is still with us, criminal defense attorney out in Martinez, California. This trial, I want to get your overall take on it. You have these brothers that the defendant here first says, I would never hurt my dad. He's lying to investigators afterwards. Then he basically admits it, that he shot his father. And where do you go if you're the defense attorney, and how much do jurors have a problem with once you've lied about something, now I really can't believe anything you've said?
It is always difficult when you have those prior inconsistent statements, right? But what as I have to do as the defense attorney is explain just how traumatic and difficult this moment is, right? Anytime a person has to take another person's life, in this case, it is talked about as a self-defense issue, and is a sad story, right? Is a son talking about watching his dad abuse his mom and ultimately taking action after being, from what we heard from that interrogation tape, being goaded by his father, right? What are you going to do about it? Kind of combat, if you would. And so as a defense attorney, I need to get the jury to think about how difficult it is for this young man to talk to investigators afterwards, and how difficult it is to just be completely honest, because you're so afraid of what will happen to you, even if you were afraid at the time for your life or your mom's life or your brother's life. So while it is kind of an uphill battle having somebody make an inconsistent statement, I think that a lot of people can understand that it's hard to come clean about something that you're scared about at first. And so connecting with the jury is really important there. But there's also jury instructions about, if you find them that a witness lied about one thing, you can find that they lied about other things. And so that's what, a prosecutor will bring up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you really need some jurors on there to empathize with what these boys claim.
And I think there's built-in empathy there. I mean, the dad, the prosecutor in her opening said the dad was a scoundrel, basically saying so there's a little opening there. Yeah. But on the other hand, just the way they did it did seem, according to the state, kind of pre-planned. In that dad calls 911 and says, my boys are acting crazy, they're wearing black gloves, I think they're gonna hurt me. Yeah. We're bringing you testimony in the meantime out of the state of Iowa. It's this case of brothers accused of murdering their father.
The next witness is Brandy Webb. She's an evidence technician with the Fort Dodge Police Department. Let's listen.
Okay, on that brown bag, what is that and what does it mean?
So this is the paper bag that originally contained the shirt. It has, as you can see, there's evidence tape on it. It has the evidence sticker and another evidence sticker.
And you received that item?
I did.
Where did you receive it from?
This one I would have received from a locker.
Okay. And when you receive it from the locker, are you able to tell who had placed it in there?
Yes.
Okay, who placed it in the locker?
I received this from the evidence custodian with the Webster County Sheriff's Office.
And who would have that been?
That is Nick Dunbar.
Okay. And did that item that's in your hand, did that go to any sort of testing?
Yes, it did.
Testing?
Yes, it did.
Okay, and what kind of testing did it go for?
This was sent for DNA testing.
Okay. I want you to grab what's marked as State's Exhibit 2 as well. I know that's hard, and I can come help you. All right, what's State's Exhibit 2?
This is a box containing 2 swabs of the inner back neck lining of gray t-shirt.
So that's a swab taken from State's Exhibit 1?
Correct.
Okay, and where did that swab come from?
This would have been taken by the DNA analyst.
Okay. And so you sent the shirt for testing?
Yes.
You ensured it was placed in the lab?
Yes.
Okay, and then when they returned it, the swabs were with it?
Correct.
Okay. And were they packaged together?
Yes.
Okay. And we repackaged them for the purposes of trial, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 1 and 2, you've maintained the custody and integrity of those items?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would request to admit State's Exhibits 1 and 2.
Any objection? 1 and 2 are in without objection.
All right, let's take a look at State's Exhibit number 3, Ms. Webb.
And you don't have to stand, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Send this right back down.
The more you can talk into the mic, the better it's going to be for everybody. And the mic with the red is the one that's most important, so you can readjust that.
Thank you.
What's that, Ms. Webb?
This is a black glove, number 1, that originally contained 6 black gloves and 5 spent CBC 9mm Luger spent casings.
Okay, so did you find that glove?
I did not find the glove.
Okay. Did you receive the glove?
I did.
Where did you receive it from?
The evidence locker.
And who put it in there?
Detective Jolyn Johnson.
Okay. And when you received it out of the evidence locker, did you then take pictures of it?
I did.
Okay. And describe that glove when it was received by you. What was going on with it?
So this glove originally was kind of in the shape of a circle, and inside of that glove were 6 other gloves and then also the 5 spent casings.
And did you somewhat unveil the glove, open it, and take everything out?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would also ask at this time to publish State's Exhibit 6, which have been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 78. And Ms. Webb, I know it's kind of hard because you have so much going on up there, so you might have to turn and look.
You may do so.
Is that what you then unveiled in the glove?
Yes.
And then what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 77, were those also contained in that glove?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do with all of that once you unraveled it?
I separated each glove to its own individual packaging, and I photographed the process as I did that.
Okay. And so State's Exhibit 3 is the first glove containing everything else?
Yes, this is.
Okay. And you maintained the chain of custody for that?
Yes.
Okay. Did it have to go to the lab for anything?
This one did not.
Okay. And the manila envelope contained in the plastic baggie, is that what you had originally encased it in?
Yes.
And if you could flip it over, and then that is the glove, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would request to admit State's Exhibit 3.
Any objection? It is in without objection.
Okay. Along those same lines, State's Exhibit 4, can you tell me what that is?
State's Exhibit 4 is 5 spent CBC 9mm Luger casings.
And there looks like there to be several manila envelopes in there.
Correct.
Did you do a separate envelope for each casing?
I did.
Okay, are the casings out of their envelopes?
Yes.
And all that red tape and everything, that's the seals that you use and then the lab used as well?
Correct.
Okay. And these were received by you from Detective Johnson in the locker?
Correct.
They are the ones we see in State's Exhibit 77?
Yes.
Okay. And did you send these to the lab for any sort of testing?
I did.
Okay. And did you pick them up and bring them back here into your custody?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, the state would request to admit State's Exhibit 4.
Any objection? No, Your Honor. They're in without objection.
All right, State's Exhibit 5. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, this is a fired bullet projectile collected from the beige 2005 Chevrolet.
Okay, and where did you receive that from, Ms. Webb?
This was also received from the evidence locker.
And who placed it in there?
This would have been Detective Alex Winninger.
And after you received it from the locker, did you maintain custody and care of that?
Yes.
Did it have to go to the lab for any testing?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And contained in number 5, do you also have the swab from that?
Yes.
Okay. And that swab would have been created by the lab technician?
Correct.
And when it was brought back to your custody, they put it in the manila envelope with it?
Correct.
Okay. And then since then, have you maintained the chain of custody of that item?
Yes.
And you said it was a fired bullet projectile?
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
Yes. So a fired bullet projectile is one that has already, it's no longer in its cartridge case, it has been cycled through the firearm. So it is no longer a live round.
Does it go by any other name?
Just a fired bullet, yeah.
Your Honor, the state would request to admit State's Exhibit 5.
Any objection? It is in without objection.
And the last one, I believe, State's Exhibit 6. Can you tell me what that is, Ms. Webb?
Yes, this is a fired projectile recovered from the kitchen freezer.
And you received that in a locker?
Yes, I did.
From who?
This would have been from Detective Jolyn Johnson.
Okay. And it looks like in there's another swab.
Correct.
So that's indicating it went to the lab for some testing?
Yes.
And you took it to the lab, brought it back?
Yes.
Okay. And you've maintained the chain of custody for that item since then?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would request to admit State's Exhibit 6.
Any objection? It is in without objection.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Webb, I'd like to talk with you first about a question that Ms. Taylor asked you about this idea that there's a limit of 10 items that can be submitted to the DCI for evidentiary testing on any particular case, okay?
Yes.
You're familiar with a publication that you're given called the Evidence Submission Guidelines, correct?
Yes.
And that's given by the DCI in regards to issues with submitting evidence, making sure that it's in the proper form and those sorts of things, correct?
Yes.
And that's where this idea of a 10-item limit appears, correct?
Yes.
But there is also guidance in that document that says the guidelines are meant to address unnecessary processing of evidence, not eliminate the analysis of evidence that really is needed, correct?
Okay. Yes.
Well, do you agree with me or not?
Yes.
The document does say that,
yep.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we have to just make sure that we're not talking over each other so the court reporter can take it down, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to do better on that front as well. One of the other things it says is we are always going to allow the opportunity, based on the case, to submit additional evidence if needed, correct?
Yes.
And so if you wanted to submit more than 10 items to the DCI lab, there's a process to request that, correct?
There is.
And from what it sounds like in the material, if you need it, they're going to test it, right?
If you request it, yes.
Okay. So there were a couple of other items of physical evidence that we asked you to bring forward today. Do you have item EEE, what's been marked as Exhibit EEE for the defense with you?
Yes, I do.
And could you describe what that is?
Item EEE is our item number 640. It is a yellow Iowa sweatshirt.
And similar to the other items that you dealt with Ms. Taylor, did you take that into your custody as part of your duties in this case?
Yes.
Your Honor, we would ask to admit Defendant's Exhibit EEE.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
EEE is in without objection.
Could you go ahead and take that item out of the bag, please?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Well, on that item, Defendant's Exhibit EEE, are there some paint stains? I think on the left-hand sleeve there's one.
There does appear to be, yes.
And does it look like that's gray paint?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to have Ms. Webb publish that for the jury?
Yes, she may do so.
Sure.
Ms. Webb, there's another item there that you brought today, and you can go ahead and put that one back. That's fine. And That's item that we've had marked as Defendant's Exhibit FFF. Do you have that with you?
I do.
And before we get into the details of that, let's talk a little bit about a wallet that was in, at some point it was in your custody, correct?
Not the Fort Dodge Police Department's custody, on my end.
Okay. You're aware that Mr. Denny Jones had a wallet, though, correct?
Yes.
And that was returned by law enforcement to, I believe, Shannon Jones, correct?
I don't know who it was released to, but it was released prior to me ever receiving it.
Okay. Are you aware of where item FFF came from? Or, excuse me, Defendant's Exhibit FFF. Are you aware where that came from?
If it's not written on the packaging, no.
Okay. But it was in your custody, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Your Honor, defense would move to enter Exhibit FFF.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
And can you describe what...
It is in without objection. Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Could you go ahead and describe what item or Defendant's Exhibit FFF is?
Yes, it's listed as being a black baggie with crystalline residue, WCSO tag 380.
And Your Honor, permission to have Ms. Webb stand up and publish that to the jury.
She may do so.
The indication on that item, or Defendant's Exhibit FFF, it said WCSO, correct?
Correct.
That would be Webster County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Fair to say that's where that item would have been, or who would have collected that item before they gave it, before it came into your custody?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, that was the evidence tech. We'll be watching the Iowa thing throughout the day here at Court TV.